Good evening. So we are shifting gears to the U.S. market. See people here across, right from Eddie, Ryan, and Greg. We are just moving from the Nordics to the U.S. Okay, so why don't you guys introduce yourself for the viewers so that we know what and what's the reason you have been here?
I'm here because you asked me to be here.
I knew that was coming.
I'm saying from the ITSM Norway conference. Not about this.
Because they asked me? No.
It's not an existential question.
I'm Eddie Vidal from Miami, Florida. I work at the University of Miami. I'm part of the ITSMf USA chapter. I also do the podcasts over there.
Yeah.
And I came to do the closing keynote speech.
Yeah, which is excellent.
Thank you.
Nice.
So I'm really sad I missed it.
Yeah, we missed it
Yes.
actually.
Okay.
You didn't miss much, so you're okay.
No, I'm sure I did.
Hi, I'm Rayanne Bruno. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I do a lot of consulting in the process space and training. I redeliver a lot of the certification courses for HDI.
And you were one of the second keynote speaker.
I was, after the funny guy. And I talked about metrics.
Yeah.
I also did a workshop on Monday for KCS, which I think is pretty exciting because
Yeah.
people are starting to know about it, and then another session on KCS.
Right.
So.
And I'm Greg Sanker. My day job is as whatever it is that I do, is a service management practitioner. So I get the honor of making mistakes during the day, and then I blog about them and talk about them at night. So that's my claim to
They're
fame.
never mistakes. They're just
They're learning
opportunities.
opportunities.
I went to learn from what you did.
I went to Stewart's conference, and that's what his lean CSI, and that's essentially what he said. Tell everybody your mistakes. And I was like, good, I'm on the right track.
Yeah. Mistakes are fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, all three of you have actually been quite involved in the program, from Service Bazaar, running workshops, and then also running, speaking at the sessions as well. So what have you taken away from the Norway conference besides giving information out?
You want me to go first
Yeah,
again?
I want you to go first.
Oh, jeez.
Either way, well, you just did my eye line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't make eye contact.
To me, this is an amazing experience. This is outside of my comfort zone, like I was telling Rayanne. She introduced me to Sophie and Dagfinn last year at Fusion. To come to speak is an honor. What I've seen is, because the only comparison I had was either HDI or Fusion conferences, and this has been an amazing ride over here. The dinners, the parties, the breakout sessions, the keynotes, it's all been wonderful. I mean,
I noticed how you put all the parties and the fun stuff before you talked about the content.
I say work hard, but play hard too.
That's it.
Good answer.
And you cannot
But
deny
within reason.
and you cannot deny the kind of horse riding as well, and playing around out of your comfort zone to play around that. But
We've had they've been such great hosts.
They have been
And
amazing.
Absolutely.
I wish they'll invite me back.
That's my goal, is to be
say that
invited
too?
back. Yeah.
For the record.
Maybe not next year or the year after. Every other year is good.
so what's been your experience, Ryan?
So I'm really lucky to have been here last year as well. And what I find, first of all, what I found really interesting is last year I did a little KCS short workshop, and this year those companies sent people back, and they're really serious about it. And I think I've seen that over and over again in the conference, that people, I think everyone is very welcoming. Definitely the international group of friends that we got from this, we feel part of it. But I think people are really serious. A couple of people met me to talk a little further about some things like metrics to figure out how they can apply it, and I think that's pretty impressive. So I would say they are engaged, Eddie.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a highly, I think this is a highly engaged group of people. I got cornered, out in the hallway by people that have either listened to my sessions or engaged with my topic a lot. And they're very engaged. They have a lot of intelligent questions. They want to go home and do this. This is not a theoretical activity, at least not for the groups that I've talked to.
Yeah. I think that's some of the things I've noticed. They want stuff that they can take away, and they can actually. They're not interested in just learning bits of theory. They after those practical real life experiences that the speakers are delivering, which is it's fantastic. You actually feel like you're delivering when you're telling them things that they're actually soaking it in and they're going to use it.
Yes, and I want to hear those stories about how they do.
Well, I have to put in a plug for the Service Bazaar, which I was honored to be asked to do that, but it's kind of scary. You've got 90 minutes, no script, an unknown set of people who may or may not speak international English that well. Go. And what I had was extremely high engagement, a high degree of intelligence in the room, they would have just done just fine with or without me on this topic, because there was a lot of knowledge there. But they were learning from each other, which I think is kind of the point. And this was very practical stuff. It wasn't theoretical. It was like, this worked for me. This is a challenge that I faced. Here's some things that we've done.
So how did you find doing that last session of yours that I was in, when you're presenting change management to one of the authors of the service transition book?
Okay, I'm gonna admit. So Ivor was in the session, and he comes in, and I'm thinking, what could I possibly say to the man who wrote the book? And I decided that I was not the smartest guy in the room. I never was. I usually find myself being the least intelligent in the room, and so I became a facilitator. And he had a lot of good things to share, and he also had a lot of questions of his own. He said, "I'm here to prepare a change management presentation, and I'd like to learn some things." So after we were done, I said, "So did you learn something?" And he goes, "Yeah, I had 6 or 8 things that I took away."
Wow. And then you had a double whammy, because the session I was in with you, we also had Charlie Aruba.
Yes, I know.
So
and I shouldn't tell on Charlie, but he was very, very quiet, and the fact that he showed up at my session, I consider an honor, because I consider him, a senior person in the industry. And at one point, I thought I heard him say, "But actually," as in, forget what Greg said, this is what's actually true. And he actually took our topic and took it up to another level, more strategic level. And everybody, myself included, appreciated what he had to say. "You're the only person that called me out." She wanted me to say business relationship management is where it all starts, and I didn't want to say that.
Does that mean that she hasn't convinced
But she tweeted it, so now it's true. I actually said that.
So coming to Ryan, I mean, particularly with KCS, there's a lot of misconceptions of what KCS is all about. People think it's knowledge management, forget it. I mean, it's another whole lot of stories. So give us a view about what KCS is in a few sentences.
What KCS is in a few sentences. I really look at it as formalizing what we already do. It's the virtual yelling across the room. It's formalizing collaboration, putting structure around it, and it really takes all of the processes to a whole new level, and allows IT to work together collectively in a natural way. I don't even know if people feel as much that, oh, I'm giving away my knowledge. They start to see the power in that and how it gives us more capacity.
Can I add something to that? Because I went to a session, and
you can tell it, because we went.
What I got is, I'm thinking it's some process that we implemented, something like that, and it's basically a culture change.
It
and it involves everybody.
So much more.
And that's what I really got out of your session.
How does that dovetail with your session, which I didn't attend, but it was about the heroes?
It really does, because that's harnessing the power of your heroes, which is what I was all about. Is really all about KCS. It's all pulling in. It's using knowledge. It's getting those heroes, instead of them keeping that knowledge tight because they're worried about their jobs, or they like that feeling that they're the most important person in the room, but getting them to actually feel the value of sharing that knowledge, and that can give them just as good a feeling as being a hero.
Yes.
Well, ironically, that was the theme for the University of Phoenix. It is superheroes. And they definitely were engaged.
My favourite thing about being able to pop into your workshop too, because, I like you, I've been training KCS, I know, for me from 2005, and we've seen it shift and move forward as the other frameworks also shift and move forward as well. But it's just really cool to be able to listen to someone else. And it really is, because you learn so much more. Even as a speaker, a speaker listening to other speakers, and trainer listening to other trainers. And you're right, the KCS hasn't really been, knowledge management as such hasn't been a really huge thing on the European side. So we're just starting to see those little tendrils of people, they're starting to, this is going to make life easier for us. It really will help.
Sharing knowledge is a real culture change, because people in IT are not so good at doing it. It's making, you have to make them step out of their comfort zone to really, because knowledge is power. So if I keep my knowledge to myself, I'm more powerful.
Well, someone who had sent 3 people this time, and when we did the takeaways, one person didn't have one, and I forgot to go back and get his takeaway. And he came over and told us at dinner last night, and he said that it goes from, knowledge management to an entirely new culture, a new way of doing things. And I thought that was pretty incredible that a guy in class came up with that. And I think it's pretty impressive
And
that
I
this
had 2
company
of them
sent so
last
many
night
people.
come up to
Oh,
me
did
as
they?
well and talk to me, and they really wanted to say it was really great that the workshop, it wasn't spoon feeding the information, that they actually had to work to gain
You
the
made them
knowledge.
work?
Yes.
Awesome.
I let them use their knowledge resources sometimes.
Yeah. So that was fabulous to have that feedback as well. And then they just wanted to talk about it more.
It's so exciting.
Yeah.
So coming to Eddie, you have been in ITSMf US speaker panel, in terms of selection process. How do you rate the kind of speakers that you have had in this Norwegian conference? You need to be
He's not talking about Rayanne and I.
He's not talking about
Yeah.
So apart from these speakers,
I went to yours, which
Yeah.
was awesome. I went to Thorsten's, which was amazing.
the people change management.
Yeah, I think that the quality is right up there, if not better, from what I saw. The thing with Fusion, what we do is we want 25% of the individuals to be first-time speakers because they want to go through it. And that's good because you want some more talent in the industry, but then they're not as experienced, some of them. But the sessions that I've gone to, it's been quality. It's amazing. So comparison, it's there or higher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because your submissions close this week, don't they?
Yeah.
So,
They close on Friday,
Yeah.
and let me tell you, I've been a track chair. This is year number 5,
Yeah.
and a lot of people send me things, and I go, be aware that I'll critique it really hard, but I'm not going to tell you what's wrong with it. I'm going to tell you not only that, but this is what the questions I would be asking. If I'm going to your session, I want to know what I'm going to be able to leave there with that I can implement back home.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important because I think a lot of people miss that point.
Yeah.
And I think it was very useful. I wanted to bring that to attention of the viewers. If you go to the Bright Talk session, there was a webinar that they had conducted of how to, what do they look in terms of ITSM US presentations. I think it is very valuable because you give them all that stuff that they look at and what they don't look at. And Jill was perfect because she had that kind of experience and she started talking about it. So we can draw about what they are looking at it, because let's be honest, there's so much of submissions. How much time do you take to get evaluating this panel?
Right.
It's
I
tough.
actually take a lot, but I think it's also important to recognize that when you are interviewed and you get that opportunity, I mean it's a very competitive situation, and so I think that's great.
And so this is what people don't understand is that abstract is like your resume. You use that to get your foot in the door. Once you interview, you better be personable. You better be. You got to express yourself because I'm listening on the phone of what I'm expecting at a session. And if I get someone who's very dry and just answers the questions, to lean towards picking that individual, that's a little bit difficult to do. Unless I get referrals and recommendations from other people in this industry that I trust. And still with that, I take it with a grain of salt because I'm always looking for something depending on what track I'm chairing.
Right.
And so it's important what you write. It's like that resume. And when you get that phone call, it's like a job interview.
Yeah.
I have to put a plug in for Nellie, and I can't pronounce her last name, but she did a section on service
she was
portfolio
amazing.
management.
Yeah.
She is a practitioner, and she came and told her story that included the mistakes that we made, the adjustments that we made, and it was an extremely valuable session, and I'm going to go rework my session to be more like hers, honestly.
Yeah, we had Nellie on a little bit earlier.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
good.
no,
Okay.
she's great.
Top
Yeah.
notch.
So if we could ask everybody one takeaway from this conference, that you would want to use it in your workplace or in your conferences, please voice it out. But this is the Norway conference. You want to hear more about what's good that you've taken away.
So just one takeaway that you're going to go away with.
Oh,
It's gonna change.
No pressure, just
No pressure.
Eddie.
Probably we start with Rayanne because we take the ladies first.
Because I knew I'd come up with a good answer
Yeah.
by the time it was my turn.
Yeah.
So one thing that I've taken away from the conference is I think actually it's energizing and engaging to see people so excited and to see people really want to take something away from it and to ask me to take the time, to sit and talk to them and give them more ideas. And I guess it was energizing to me, and it also actually makes me want to provide better examples, better content, and to be there for them if they have questions.
Brilliant.
Right.
In the panel discussion that included David, Cannon, and Stuart, one of the questions that came up that really spoke to me was, what do we as practitioners, and he's talking to me among many others, to move us away from technology focus and process focus and get focused on the business value and the outcomes that we're producing. And that's something that's near and dear to my heart, because I started this as a process engineer or a process-minded person, and somewhere along the way I realized that it's not about that, and it's not even about the technologies, but it's about what we empower the business to do, and we've got to get the industry to move in that direction.
And I can't say his last name, but what is it, Dave Van
Herpen.
Van Herpen, yeah.
Talks about that mean time to value.
Yeah.
I sort of said that was my key takeaway.
Yeah, that was
huge.
something I've taken there. I've written that down in several places.
Yeah.
Forget about mean time to repair. Think about mean time to value.
And it kind of goes back to what you just said.
It does. And I love that mean time to value or time to value includes from when it's idea, but not just when it's implemented. This is from my change management to when the business is actually producing what they wanted out of it.
Yeah, when they're getting the value out of it.
So what's it for Eddie?
Besides learning how to dance from you.
We have a video, by the way.
Can that video get cut into this segment?
I gave it to him and I
Did you really? I wanted that.
Here's what I get from this, and I didn't know anybody in this table besides Rayanne before this conference, and I met each and every one of you, and the connection was instant.
Yes.
And then I remember talking to you on the bus, and we think so much alike. Never met Greg in my life. I go, I got to talk to this guy more. And every time I come to these conferences, that's probably what I get the most out of is meeting people. And the other thing is that I'm in a bubble. I'm an American, and I'm thinking our problems are just ours. It's no different here in Norway or anywhere. So those are I had more than one. Those are the three things I got. Dancing, relationships, and the problems are all the same.
Yeah, but it's interesting that even though there's a stronger maturity and a lot of processes here, like incident problem, but there are still a lot of the same challenges.
Good. Brilliant. I think it was a good note to close the podcast. I mean, really energetic audience and speakers. It shows off here as well. Yeah, so good. Thanks a lot, Eddie, Rayanne, and Greg for being here. I'm sure we have a lot of takeaways outside.
Yes, absolutely.
And whenever I see you guys on the program, I will always be happy to come and heckle.
Okay.
Thank you. I'd like to dance us out of this.
Yeah.
I know, that'll go for editing.
Fade to the Sarosh dance.